Okay, we're going to do some rounding. So the first example, I have 4,185,394. So if I need to round to the nearest 10 place, so I go and I look at my tens. This number is either going to stay the same or it's going to go up. Now the number to its right, that 4, is telling me whether I round up or stay the same on the 9. So if the number to your right is 5 or higher, you round up. 4 or below, you leave it alone. So this number would stay at 9, and we replace that 4 with a 0. So our number becomes 4,185,390, and we're done. Okay, now rounding to the nearest 100. Okay, I go to my hundreds place. So I want to, now I look next door to the right. It's always looking to the right. Because that 9 is large enough, it's going to round my 3 up. So I would have that 3 goes up to a 4, and I replace everything else with 0. So I would get 4185. So 4,185,400. Now, if we're going to the nearest 1,000, then I look at my thousands place, and I look next door. The 3 is not big enough to round my 5 up. Okay, so my 5 stays as is. Everything else gets replaced with zeros down below it. So my number becomes 4,185,000. And that's done. All right, so try this next one. We're going to the 10,000 place. Okay, pause the video and see if you get the right answer. Give yourself a minute to try it. So this problem would round up. We would go to our 10,000s place. There's that 8. We look next door to the right. Because that's a 5, it's big enough to round up. So we need to replace our 8 with a 9, and then everything goes to zeros to the right of that 9. So our number becomes 4,190,000. And we are done. All right, let's try some decimals. Okay, let's do some rounding with decimals. We've got 37.4519. So if I'm rounding to one decimal place, that's the nearest tenth. Okay, I look at that place value, the tenths places. I look next door to see if our number is going to round up or stay the same. The 5 is big enough to bump us up and round up. So I would replace that 4 with a 5, and everything else goes to zeros. Okay, so our number would be 37.5, and you don't need to include all those zeros. We can just leave it as 37.5 or 37 and 5/10. Okay, on this next one, we're going to go to 2 decimal places. So I need to look at my hundredths place, and that 1 is not big enough to round up. So my 5 stays the same. Everything else is replaced with zeros. Just copy the 37.4 down. So my new number becomes 37.45, and that's read 37 and 45 hundredths. And one more. See if you can try it. Give yourself a little bit of time. You can pause the video and see if you get it correct. So our number would become 37 and 452 thousandths, because we look at our thousandths place here, and that is followed by a 9, and the 9 is big enough to round our 1 up to 2. So that's the basics of rounding. It really is important to understand the place value of our numbers, and you know, where the hundredths are, where the thousandths are, and all of that. And then we just think about, is the number next door to the right big enough to round us up or stay the same?